What's up guys, welcome back to the workshop, welcome back to another episode. On this episode I'm going to be cutting out all the bad metal on the underside of the car using an angle grinder and a drill. This car is pretty clean compared to some of the other 105s I've owned. It has pretty minimal rust. But that said, you don't really know until you go looking for it. This car has rust in a lot of the usual spots, under the front radiator cross member, in the spare wheel well, a little bit in the sills and in the floors. And there are a few spots like under the rear window and the scuttle drain hose. Yeah, which I'll get into with this, and that should be fairly straightforward. There are a few other things that I'll get into later, like little detail things that have to be repaired. There are a couple damaged points where the bolts for the suspension bolt up. One of the rear trailing arms, if you watch the video where I stripped this car down, one of the rear trailing arm bolts was seized and the other one was already loose. And the one that had the loose bolt in it was pretty badly damaged. So I think it was seized at some point and somebody tried to hack it out and it damaged the little collar that the bolt goes through in the body. So I'm gonna have to get those out. And then I'm gonna have to machine up some new, those collars on a lathe that put well back into the body. And yeah, unfortunately nobody sells those pieces new, so I'm gonna have to have them made up. It's not the end of the world though. Anyway, let's fire up the angle grinder and get cutting. Right, so I've been at this for a few hours now, and it's coming along. Spare wheel well is out. I did that without doing too much damage to the boot floor. I've done a little bit of exploratory surgery on these fenders here. This is actually pretty solid inside here. What happens is this fills up with like dust and dirt, and it holds water and it rusts through the outer skin. This is the outer sill here. That looks pretty good, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Up front here, I've still got a little bit more to do to really cut that rust out. This was the panel under the radiator there, not much left of it. The radiator cross member looks pretty good anyway. Yeah, these fenders don't look too bad, but I think there's a little bit more work required, and I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to call it a night for today. The thing that concerns me most is that the rust went quite deep into here, and this inner panel here is meant to go all the way down around in here. You can see it's missing. Well, what it's meant to do is it welds on along the inner sill here and then along the bottom. The A-pillar support base is welded on over that, and then the whole outer sill welds on over all of that, and then the fender goes on top. So I think I'm going to have to go quite deep to cure this rust for good, and there's a little bit of daylight through there that you can just see, which means there's a hole in the inner sill, so I'm gonna have to go through all the layers. There's just a lot of dirt that clogs up, so I'm gonna get some compressed air in there and blow it all out and then see what the real condition is, but I'll do that tomorrow. It's getting a bit late, so yeah. This is all the metal that was removed today. There's quite a lot of it that came out. See the sills, the fender repair patches that somebody did before. Not very good. Yeah, so that's it for tonight, and I'll pick this up tomorrow. Right, it's another day in the shop, and in the light of day, I'm a bit more worried about this corner here, and maybe on the other side as well, but this inner sill does actually look really ill. It looks like it's gotten quite bad rust in it, so I'm going to have to go quite deep in here and probably remove all of this to get to the inner sill, repair that, repair this panel that's meant to go on here, and then do the A-pillar support again and the outer sill, and then the fender over it. I'm not really that worried about the sill going back. It's in pretty good shape. Once this is all cleaned out, it should look pretty good. The rust doesn't seem to go too far back, and at the back here as well. So I really don't want to have to replace this whole outer sill. I'm just going to do the front section. Yeah. So today I'm going to get onto that, and then I need to cut away some stuff here at the front. The rust in that bottom corner is pretty bad. Right, so this has gotten away from me a little bit. This has gotten a lot more rusty than I was anticipating. But I suppose this is how things always happen. In the driver's side sill, it is very, very rusty. And I've gotten down almost to the base of it. So under here, this is the inner sill, this section here. That's the main structural bit that runs lengthways along the car. It's the back of this triple layered panel. What we have is the inner sill, the middle sill, which is this bit, and then the outer sill, which goes along the outside of the car, tucks in under the fender, and goes over the A-pillar support. But under all that is the inner sill, and then on top of that is this panel that encloses everything here, and this panel goes on top of that. But anyway, it seems to be rusted all the way through. So I'm going to have to do a pretty long episode about fabricating all this stuff up from scratch. It shouldn't be too difficult, it's just a lot of work. And I think I'm going to give it a few dedicated episodes into repairing all of this. Because this is a super common 105 problem. If you see cars that have like a couple of bubbles on the fender on the outside here, you can probably guarantee that it's going to go all the way through. I think it gets to the outside of the car way after it starts going in and eating up all of this. Yeah, so I'm going to have to fabricate up some stuff to replace, first off, the inner sill and repair this panel behind this, so you can see from the inside of the car. Inner sill, repair if there's any rust on this part of the middle sill that's behind here, then put this panel back with this hole in it, and the tab that welds along the outside and onto the bottom of the inner sill. And then I can put the A-pillar support back on top of that, and then put the outer sill over it, and then the fender on top of that. So it's just a game of layers, really. Gonna have to get into that in a big way. That's going to be quite an episode. I hope I'm going to get deeper into the other side of the car. I hope it's nowhere near as bad as that. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as this side, but I'm not going to know until I open it up. And if I'm fabricating all of this, I might as well do it for the other side too. Up front here, this cross member is not in such bad shape, but this is becoming a little bit tricky. I can see there's a bit of rust through there. And that spot in there that's rusted through is the inner wall it's the other side of this wall here, this thick chassis wall, so it's a little bit rusted on the bottom. So I'm going to have to open up this and repair it. Luckily this is all like 90-degree stuff and it's pretty simple, and remaking this is not going to be that much of a challenge. Obviously I've kept all the metal that I took off of this car, stuff like this is from the outer sill. This would go right here. It's good to keep all this stuff as a reference as you're going ahead. So this kind of stuff from the A-pillar is really not that difficult to replicate. It's a couple of simple bends on some 2mm steel. That's pretty straightforward. So this is going to be a short episode, and I'm going to leave it here for today. And then we can get into some metalwork proper in the next episode. I've run out of time to do this today. Tomorrow evening I'll get back in here and keep at this one. I still haven't gotten anywhere near the floors. So this is a lot more intense metalwork than I anticipated, but hey, I suppose that's the whole thing about project cars. Project creep is a very real thing, and this car is becoming the ultimate example of project creep. So much for my 1 month build. Hey, anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.